Hello and welcome to 30 Days to Learn Photoshop. This is day 1 interface walkthrough. I'm Ben Gribbin and today we're going to be breaking down the Photoshop interface. That means we're going to be looking at where everything is, what everything does, why it's laid out like it is and just the general layout of the Photoshop software. So let's go and switch to Photoshop, and this is the default, or as near default as you can get, screen for working with Photoshop. This is the essentials and it's got all the basic elements that we need. So let's start at the top. This is the menu bar, and that's going to be the same whether it be on Windows or on Mac, the same whether you're on CS2 or just the Photoshop 7 for example. So this has got File, Edit, Image, Layer, Select, Filter, Analysis, 3D, possibly not 3D depending on what version you're on, View, Window and Help. So we'll just briefly go through these menus now and consider what's in there. And it is just basic kind of programming stuff. This is the file menu, which you'll find on basically every program ever. You've got the File New option where you can make a new document, File and Open. We'll skip Browsing Bridge, Browsing Mini Bridge, Open as Smart Object because they're a little bit more advanced. Then we've got Open Recent, and this is just going to open up any recent documents you've been working on. Nice and easy way of being able to just jump between documents. We'll skip those. When we've got a document open, we're actually able to close the document we're working on, close all the documents we're working on, save and save as well as saving our documents for web and devices. Don't worry if you don't know what we're talking about, because we're going to cover these in future lessons. And also you've got the ability to quit Photoshop from this menu, obviously. In Edit, you'll find all your kind of usual copy and paste, so let's paste special, but you've also got undo and step backwards and forwards, and don't worry about any keyboard shortcuts because we'll cover them in a lesson within this course. You've got copy and paste, copy merged, you have the ability to check or spell check your documents, and then you've also got transform, which is something we will talk about considerably within the course. Next, you have the image. Now, image allows you to set the color mode of your document. It allows you to change the sizing of the image, the sizing of the canvas you're working on. You can rotate your image. You can crop it from here. You can duplicate things. You can work out calculations. And it's a pretty well used menu is image. So remember where image is. Then layer. Layer is an option. Again, you're probably going to use quite a bit. You've got the ability to create new, duplicate layers and delete layers from here, and there's also a wide variety of other options. Select allows you to change any selections that you make. So again, we'll cover this in a future lesson, but it allows you to make selections smaller, expand them, change the saturation, things like that. Filters, something that we'll consider, is filters are essentially Photoshop's quick way of tweaking images, making them look more interesting. You can apply artistic filters, you can blur things, quite heavily used within Photoshop. We're going to skip analysis and 3D because they're a little bit more advanced. View gives you the option to change the viewing mode slightly, which is something you might want to do. And also you can zoom in, zoom out, fit on screen from this menu, as well as looking at it from the print size. And then we've got the window, which again adds more options and panels to the interface and the help menu. So that's the menu bar, quite heavily used. Below that you have this top bar. Now this may not look like this in Windows. This might be incorporated within the very top menu bar. Now along here you've got kind of the Mac options here, and you've got some buttons that we're not going to really use too much. You've also got the ability to zoom in, and you can arrange multiple documents from here once you get that set up, and you can also change the screen mode, but we'll look at that in a lesson within the course. Then below that you have an option menu. So if we just go ahead and create a new document, and this allows us then to access this option bar here. Now the toolbar, which we'll talk about shortly, has various tools, and nearly all the tools have different options, and in order to change them quickly and easily, they're all laid out here. So that's what that menu bar is there. It's called the option bar. On there you'll find things like how to change the brush, you can change the color mode, opacity, the flow, all kinds of different settings, and that goes for really pretty much every tool has some options that you can work over, and we'll consider each tool in a breakdown in the course at some point. So we've just mentioned it, it's the toolbar. Now the toolbar has all of the basic Photoshop tools that you're going to use a lot. It just gives you quick access to them. They're all laid out, kind of arranged into groups of related or more related items. To use the toolbar, you see some of them have a small arrow in the bottom right hand corner of the icon. If you right click on them, or you can just click and hold, it actually expands that menu, that sub menu, rolls it out, and then you're able to select the tools that you want. So you just click, drag, and then you can select the different tools under those drop down menus. Tools are roughly arranged together, so you've got kind of selection tools here, you have brushes and brush based tools there, you've got vector and pen tools there, and then some viewing and panning options there. Then finally at the bottom of the toolbar you've got the colouring palette, and you have the ability to go into quick mask mode. So that's the toolbar. It may look like this depending on which version or how you've got your Photoshop set up. So that's the toolbar over on the left. And then finally over on the far right you've got the palettes. Now the palettes are customizable. You can change these, you can flick between them. These are options and settings and information groups all put together in one place so that you can actually select different colours. You can view the document you're currently working on even though it's blank. You can see it there, you can navigate around that document, you can change the zoom that you're currently at. That's good when you're working on big or large documents. Then you can change your colour that you've got currently selected down here, and you'll notice that changes over here. You've got the histogram, which is for photographs and things like that. Adjustment layers and layers, which we'll cover in a future lesson because these are critical to being able to use Photoshop properly. And then depending on your setup, you may have this smaller panel selection here, and these are just grouped together again, little tools. For example, you've got the ability to change typographic settings, paragraph settings. You can go on the action palette, you can change or revert back to a history state using the history panel, and you can rearrange these very easily. If you want the history panel to be always open, drag it into there and you'll see now we have our history panel and we can just flick between history states. But we'll help you set those up, so don't worry about that. And that is really all there is to Photoshop apart from the document window. Now this is really the main area you're going to be working with. This is your artboard, your canvas. So this is called the document window. Above it you'll see this toolbar here, and because we've only got one document open, there is only one document, but it also allows us to flick between different documents along here. We can slide them about, change their order. So this part here is probably going to be the most used element we'll be working with, and also this document bar along here. So that's really the Photoshop interface. It's not as daunting as you first thought. In lessons in this course we're going to break it down bit by bit and go through each tool that you're going to need to use. We'll look at different techniques and skills, so don't worry if you didn't quite catch any of that, because we will be looking at all the different parts in greater detail. So really in this lesson we've just broken down the Photoshop interface to cover the main elements. Those are the menu bar, the options bar, the toolbar, palettes, and the document window. So your task for this lesson is to continue just getting familiarised with the interface, think about where all the different options are, and just explore it as well. You can't break Photoshop, so have a look around and see what you can find. In the next lesson, we're going to be creating documents. Thanks for listening.